have you seen the pundits smirking when the trumpet posted that the Republicans did so poorly in the election because he wasn't on the ballot? They're saying, so what? You won't ever be on the ballot again. That's just wrong. Saying that gives us a false sense of complacency. Please stop. Trumpet says he's running all the time. Bannon says he needs to, or they're all going to jail. That's motive, opportunity, and I'm going to unpack for you now the means. I'm Vector Hastings, author of ProjectLiberty2029.com and .info, a blueprint for taking back liberty and justice for all in America. Now, I understand that this is going to be an anxiety and anger-provoking essay, and I hope you understand I'm just a messenger here. I am well-researched. I'll put down links to debate on either side. Yes, fundamentally, there will be a court challenge, but it's likely to win, even in a Supreme Court that isn't bending backwards for him. To put this in context, for us to get back to liberty and justice for all, we need to do three things. And keep in mind, these are necessary but not sufficient. We need to, one, win in 2026 so that the House and Senate can defend themselves, and I do mean physically defend themselves in 2029. And two, we need to win the presidency and keep the House and Senate in 2028. And finally, we need to have the presidential win and certified on January 6, 2029. In a way that doesn't leave us taking up arms against each other across the nation. And that number three is why we cannot make light of Trumpet running again. And I know he's fading fast and he may not make it. None of us can predict the future, not me, not you, but we can think logically about what our opponents will do. We can hope he might die of old age, but let us not plan on it. If he is on the ballot, and if he loses, and I believe both things are likely, then he will be able to summon a mob and the Quick Reaction Force National Guard that they're now building to come to Washington, D.C. to overthrow what he will call the traitors who are stealing your country again. Now, I'll go into detail on what I expect that may look like in a future post. It is bat shiitake mushroom crazy. I'm sorry. Despite our wins in November, we're not out of this thing yet. Here's the pin I want to put out now. GJG can run again. And he's told us how multiple times. You may have already heard it. It's simple and arguably constitutional. He runs as vice president. And I think I hear you screaming 22nd Amendment and the 12th Amendment, and I'll get to all that. Just hear out what they have said the plan is. It's simple. He has a lackey run as president. Let's call that person JD. And JD promises to resign immediately upon gaining the presidency, allowing Trump to attain a third term through succession. Now, in practice, I think this would mean Trump declares that this plan to his followers following the upcoming midterms, where they're going to lose badly. And he's going to say, I'm the only one who can save you. I don't want to do it, but I'll win it all back for you. I think he runs as president. He runs for the nomination of president in the Republican primaries. There's no prohibition in being elected as a party nominee for a third term. As we saw the last time around, he wins the primaries without even having to show up. But he does tell everyone his plan, which they execute at the Republican convention. This happens in July, just 3 months before the election day. As their nominee, he hones the convention, he sets the rules, and he chooses his surrogate. Let's just say again, it's JD. And the two of them run, with JD supposedly at the top, but, the advertising is going to all have Trump at the top. In November, one of two things happens. They win or they lose. If they won, then on January 20th, JD will take the oath of president, Trump takes the oath of vice president, JD resigns, and Trump succeeds to the office by taking the presidential oath for the third time. Now, what's likely to happen is instead, number two, they lose. But they say it's stolen, and they attempt a redo of January 6, 2021. But now it's a second draft, and they've had 4 years to plan by mobilizing Pardon to January 6 rioters and building a National Guard Quick Reaction Force, which they want to be around 10,000 strong. And they might be able to cobble together military personnel that have become loyal so they can stand up maybe a battalion or two. That's maybe another 2,000 troops. Okay, you're screaming, no, he can't serve a third term because of the 22nd Amendment. This has been covered as a curiosity by legal analysts because it just seems so improbable as to not be worth much ink up to now. But you can go look at it for yourself. I particularly like the Twice and Future President, especially for its titles. There's another called The 22nd Amendment Doesn't Mean What You Think It Does. But you can read the 22nd Amendment for yourself. It says no person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. And that's different language than the original Constitution and the 12th Amendment, and even an earlier draft of the 22nd Amendment, which used the construction, no person shall be eligible to the office of the president, except if they qualify. That language is cut and dry, despite any intents the writers might have had to allowing people to serve a third term or not through succession, through election. And so here's the hypothetical, right? Imagine if Barack Obama became Speaker of the House and suddenly both President and Vice President died. Obama would succeed to the presidency because the 22nd Amendment does not prohibit him from doing so. The only argument I ever find that this scheme of trumpets is illegal is that it violates the intent of the 22nd Amendment. But then that runs afoul of the earlier drafts where they had it not allowing him to serve and then took it out. And even if it wasn't like that, I ask you, are you ready to set the fate of our country up to fail because we didn't prepare for it on the hope that this Supreme Court that gave us presidential immunity, when every legal scholar and with any integrity said they shouldn't or couldn't, are they going to turn down a third term through succession? My argument was originally the one of feasibility. Like, sure, I thought, but whoever takes the oath first wouldn't resign. It would be crazy to give up that power. But then I realized that while Trump was president, he can give SEAL Team 6 a preemptive pardon to assassinate JD if JD tries to double-cross Trump. And then Trump can stack that, right? You can have SEAL Team or Ranger Team 6 pardoned for assassinating SEAL Team 6 if they don't follow through on it. And Trump, of course, shows JD the bullets with his name on it being loaded into the guns. I mean, it's just everyday mobster politics. If Trumpet does what he says, and he's grooming this for us, he keeps bringing it up and then stepping away, bringing it up and stepping away, what will be more likely to happen in this scenario is that they lose horribly. And they cry stolen because nobody loses that badly. And we have to live through a whole new level of January 6th because this time they've been preparing. Trigger warning, I'm about to show the violence of January 6th 1.0. I'll cover all that in another video. If you want to read the gory details of that before I get the video out, you can head on over to projectliberty2029.info and look for the coming constitutional hack. And look, we're still going to win because they cannot hold a country of America, a land of 500 billion freaking guns with just 30% of the population. But they can make it very painful and more violent. And we need to not mock or smirk at the idea of him on the ballot in 2028, because we need to shed this idea that we are guaranteed a peaceful return to liberty and justice for all. That means looking clear-eyed at strategic and tactical moves this regime must take to preserve its power. With careful planning, which should emerge as a consensus among those of us resisting this regime, we can maximize our chances of success with a minimum of violence, where hopefully any such violence is caught on camera as coming from their side. And if you want to help me do more for this, please consider liking, sharing, subscribing, and I will point out once again that this coming battle over January 6, 2029 is another reason why if Democrats were to run on a universal basic share of income, we will have a better outcome, because that kind of promise is achievable only at the national level, and with it, 80% of Americans do better. It controls the national debt, and it makes the powerful pay a tax to support it that they cannot avoid. That kind of policy offers so much security and justice to regular Americans that it will drain a big chunk of enthusiasm for using and participating in armed force by that 30% who are still just in love with Trumpet. It would not only reduce our pain in the short term, but it would ensure our gain in the long term. So, on that note, Amen, America.